He was probably the centre point, kind of the main guy within the group. He had it all going for him, very smart, doing a master's in London, very sociable, obviously very athletic, particularly from a GAA standpoint.
You know, you saw Sean thriving outside of football, in football and outside of football as well. He just finished his masters in London, or was finishing up his masters in London. To hear news of something like that happen, it's shocking, it's saddening. I suppose we're all overcome with worry, concern that, you know, what will happen to Sean.
So he was in a traffic accident and he was hit on the side of the head. And he got a traumatic brain injury. That means a bad brain injury, which he was in a coma for 3 months, and he slowly came out. We just didn't know, was he going to come out of the coma? He came out of the coma and he woke up and he started laughing, and that was a really terrific moment.
The news, the impact of the news on all of us, it's funny how it obviously devastates a family, but it impacted on all of us. I was covering a match in Mullingar, and I couldn't believe it. And I went to a pub with my wife after the match for something to eat, and I got another phone call from one of the, and I started crying in the pub. It was a very deep, emotional thing for everybody who saw a young guy develop, because anyone who's a parent, you dread the knock on the door.
He did engineering in UCD, and then he decided to do a master's in the UK in artificial intelligence. He had just finished his exams, when the accident happened. So it was one of those Sunday mornings, 5 o'clock in the morning, when the knock on the door came with the police, informing us that there was an accident and we should get over to London as soon as possible. So that was one of those moments in the family, yeah. We stayed in London for a week or two, and then Jenny ended up staying 2.5 years. But, you know, myself and Lucy and Daniel, we travelled over every 2 weeks then until COVID wouldn't let us.
We're Team Drummond, aren't we, Sean? Yeah, I know what Sean wants before he wants it. So, no, we've been together through thick and thin for the last almost 3 years now. So, in the very early days when we went over initially, we didn't know if Sean would make it. And then he was in a coma for a long time. And I always believed he would come out of the coma, but it did stretch on. You know, you kind of thought, oh, maybe it'll be a week or maybe it'll be next week. But, you know, it was hard. It was hard leaving everyone here, but I think it gave Sean the best chance. And I just kind of figured, you know, 2 or 3 years is nothing in the grand scheme of things. And it would give Sean the best chance to be the best that he could be following his accident. So, and we've been through a lot together, and we're still best of friends, aren't we, Sean?
Yeah, he spent the next 2 years in London and getting better with his friends, once again supporting him and visiting him, and that's during COVID, just before COVID, when all the fundraising started, and they made every event fun. So it was enjoyable, and it was for a great cause as well. So I just can't thank them enough, yeah.
I think the initial phase was probably more of a mourning phase. To be honest, like, our friendship realistically has changed with Sean from where it was. So we tried to kind of get useful, I suppose, or like be helpful towards the family after that initial mourning phase, probably like 6 to 9 months when Sean came out of a coma. So the best way we've done that is probably twofold. The one, or first and primary one, is visiting Sean. I was in London for 2 years. We had a rota where people go over every weekend, so you're probably going over every 3 to 4 weeks. The whole team behind the fundraising is to keep it fun. Sean's always been an outgoing, sociable guy. We've tried to represent that in everything that we've done, and it's really successful. Con's been very generous. Con's been a teammate of Sean since about 15, so they have a very unique relationship. And Con will probably tell you himself, probably felt a little bit helpless at the start, as we all did, in how he could help Sean. And Con obviously is in a privileged position to have played for Dublin and won what was then 5 All-Irelands in a row. And just reached out to us and was open and offered to auction up his 5 in a row jersey that he won in the final. So that's been a massive help. It's raised a lot of awareness for us, and we're very grateful for all the work that Con has done throughout the fundraising campaign.
I think some things are a lot more important than football, and Sean getting better and improving on a daily basis is far more important than anything like that. So if I could help him in some small way, that'd be great. And I suppose every small donation makes a massive difference.
I mean, Cuala the whole way through has been a big part, and it's always been a big part of Sean's life. He joined when he was 4, and we used to spend an awful lot of time in the hospital looking at Cuala photos, different team photos, and chatting about it.
Yeah, he was tough. Very old school footballer, tough, dogged, determined. He fancied an old punt kick, or even better was a hand pass, just hand pass it off and get back to beating his man up. Really tough opponent to mark, really physical, aggressive. So, yeah.
Any little donation makes a huge help. And it's a massive thing that AIG conceding their logo and that the Dublin jersey will have support for Drummond on it is huge. It's a huge thing, but it's a mark of respect that as a sponsor, AIG doesn't sponsor just Dublin county teams. They're looking after the vice captain of a senior football team in Dublin. And that's a huge show of support from them as well at grassroots level. So we're hoping for grassroots support from all over the country just to support Sean.
Well, the great news is Sean is now home. We're delighted. We never really, a year or two ago, envisaged that he would be home at this stage, so we're delighted. We now have a 3 to 5 year plan. We need to ensure Sean gets the right therapies for physical therapy, cognitive therapy, and speech and language therapy to give Sean every opportunity to achieve his full potential.